Hey guys, it's Cameron here with Emerson Property Management. Every week, tools, tactics, strategies, lessons I've learned. I don't know why I do this with my hands. Things have helped me build up a sizable loan portfolio in about 2 years and now manage that portfolio. Got a question from John. John, I appreciate your question. It was regarding books. What kind of books would you recommend for finance, real estate, investing, what have you? So I've broken it out into 3 different categories here. And this will probably become a blog post at some point because this list will change, I feel like, with more and more books that I read. But as of now, I've got a handful of books here that I think you're going to find very, very helpful. And I've broken them out between real estate, personal finance, and then just in general, just how to think, how to operate, how to become a better, more effective person and individual. Let's start with real estate. So real estate. The first book I recommend in real estate, and again, these are going to be no particular order. I'm not saying one's better than the other, but I've got 3 real estate books for you guys. Number 1 is the book on rental property investing by Brandon Turner. So this was, if you guys don't know Brandon Turner, he's the co-host of the Bigger Pockets podcast. He's been around Bigger Pockets almost since day one. Him and Josh Dorkin kind of started it. Josh Dorkin started it, but Brandon's been a face of it ever since. He wrote a very, very easy to digest book called The Book on Rental Property Investing. So that'll kind of give you an idea. If you want to get into real estate, want to get into rentals, you guys know I've got another video on it. I do not like wholesaling. I'm not a big fan of some of these other strategies or tactics. I like buy and hold real estate. You own the real estate long term. It's a wealth builder. And he talks a lot about that. The second book is Retire Early with Real Estate by Chad Carson. Now, Chad was a college football player, really got into real estate, enjoyed it, and wrote this book on retiring early. He retired, I know he's a millennial, I don't know his exact age, but he's got a lot of good statistics and pieces of information in there on what an actual wealthy, retired early person invests in and how they invest, because we all think, these rich people are sitting on piles of money and they're not doing anything, or maybe they just own apartment buildings or whatever, but in reality, they're very well-rounded and diversified in what they have. And he kind of breaks down a lot of questions about debt to income or debt to equity ratios, loan to values, what they're invested in, stocks, bonds, real estate, and various other pieces of information on statistics on when people retired, how much real estate they have, how much money it's making. It's a very interesting book. So that's another good book. The third book is back to Brandon Turner. It's the book on investing in real estate with no and low money down. This is a great book if you want to get started. You don't feel like you have a lot of money. This is a great way to get creative and get your mind thinking in the direction of, I don't have the money, but that's not going to stop me. That is not going to stop me. That is one of the bigger ones. And I said 3, but really I guess I have 4 on this category. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, classic book. You guys, that really changes your mindset. If you guys listen to the Bigger Pockets podcast, there's a couple hundred episodes. I would say 90% will tell you that their one book, the real estate book that they love, was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. If they say another book, typically they'll say Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but since that's been said so many times, they'll say another book. I mean, it really changes your mindset on how to think, and the rich don't work for money, and you need to do this and that. I mean, it blows conventional wisdom out of the water. So that's really helpful. As far as personal finance goes, so this is about you building up a strong financial position. This is about you setting yourself up for success and knowing how investing works. So I've got 4 here as well. One is Set for Life by Scott Trench. So he's another Bigger Pockets. I think he's the COO or CFO or something at Bigger Pockets. He wrote a fantastic book, Set for Life. That basically breaks down how you need to build this strong foundation, strong financial foundation, so you can invest in real estate, so you can take some of these risks and put your money to work. And then in times where you have coronavirus or the 2008 recession, you're okay because you've set yourself with a strong foundation. You've got a great credit score. You've increased credit lines, so if you do need to put some stuff on credit, you can do that. There's various strategies he talks about in that book, but it's a very easy to digest and powerful book. Second one, Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins. So Money Master the Game, Tony interviewed I don't even know how many billionaires, 100 millionaires, and asked them about what legacy, if they died and could only leave, that's one of the questions he asked. He said, if you died and could only leave your kids with a set of rules for investing and all your money, how would you do it? And so he breaks all that down. And he has all these interviews with all these multimillionaires, or like I said, 100 millionaires and billionaires, and breaks it down to simple, very, very, very simple tactics and strategies. The other one of the other books is The Automatic Millionaire. Now, one thing about Money Master the Game, it is a extensive book. It's very thick, but you guys will get a lot of value out of it. Sorry, to go back. The Automatic Millionaire by David Bach. So David Bach, he's been around a long time. That book really just talks about taking your emotions out of it. So you guys have these times when you want to think about what you should invest in or what you should invest in, but in reality, you have to just automate as much as you can out of it, so you don't have to rely on your willpower. There are going to be days and times when you're not feeling good. Like you guys want to go to the gym. Sometimes I don't feel like going to the gym. I want to have a couple beers and hang out, or I want to eat the cake and ice cream, and I don't really feel like going to the gym. But I make it one of my things to go at least do some sort of exercise every single day. And that's kind of what he talks about. He automates as much as he can every single day so that he's still getting the results that he wants. So if you automatically, set a schedule, a run or something with a friend, or and what he's talking about in his book is automatically setting up, investments every month. They're supposed to go into your 401 or your Roth, whatever accounts you want it to, but he does it automatically. He sets everything up so it's done. He doesn't have to think about it. He kind of sets his goals out and he lays it out. So that really helps, just automating everything so the money you have left in your account, you can spend with it as you please. The last one's A Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins. He's got some interesting bits and pieces in this book about just not overcomplicating things and breaking some concepts down very simply for you. So you don't have to, these things aren't complicated. He breaks them down very, very simply, and he has a wide range of financial topics. So some of those come in the form of real estate, and he talks about stocks and bonds and other things as well. So those are the four for personal finance. Now on to just in general, like I said, just how to think in general and how just a handful of books have really been instrumental in my life. One's A 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. Now, what does that mean? Everybody thinks that's just a book on how to work less. It's not. It's a book on how to leverage your time. Now, when you're starting out, you're not going to be able to leverage your time, right? You're going to have to do everything. You're going to have to work every hour, every day until you can build up enough income to come in to start leveraging and buying people's time, whether that's a VA or an assistant or what have you. But that book really gives you some great strategies and thoughts behind, the early retirements where you take 6 months to a year off every 4 to 6 years. And that book just really opened my eyes to some of that stuff. It was always, I'm from the Midwest, and it was always just that blue collar work ethic of putting your head down and keep working. But this lets you step back and allows you to think about leveraging your time and allowing other people to help you build up quicker, and be able to do things way, way, way more quickly and effectively than you could by yourself. The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. Guy is unbelievable. I don't have time to get into his whole story, but he has some amazing accomplishments and feats and overcoming some difficult obstacles. But he's got a routine, and I'll just say the acronym is SAVERS. I'm not going to go through all of them. I don't want to spoil it for you. It's a short book, very quick and easy read, but that allows you to prime yourself in the morning and get ready in the morning for the rest of your day. It is a very powerful book. And like I said, you kind of set yourself early, you do the SAVERS, and then your rest of your day is all downhill. I don't do every single bit and piece from his book, but it does. I did take a handful of things from it, and it was very, very instrumental. Principles by Ray Dalio is the third book. Ray is an incredible person. He's a billionaire hedge fund manager for Blackwater. They do not take clients unless they have I don't even know. I don't even think you could get into them anymore, but it was like hundreds of millions of dollars of investable assets. So it wasn't anything like you and I can just go invest in. He lost money only 1 or 2 years out of the past 30. And it was something along the lines of his worst loss was like 2 or 3%, whereas the market lost, the stock market lost almost 50% in 2008. So he's amazing. But his book Principles allows you to think about. He talks about business principles and work principles and finding the truth, and not what the leader thinks is right, but what what's true. What I might think is right might not be what's true. So he talks about creating teams and building systems to find out what's true, not what you think is right. So that's a very, very powerful book. One of the other ones, and that's a thick one too, so get ready for that one. One other thing, or two other books here. So the One Thing by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. I just read that recently, and it is fantastic. It talks about cutting through all the noise, finding one thing to focus on, having everything circumvent around one thing. And he's got some very powerful ways of questioning that what you do, basically. Questioning what you do so you can become more effective. And he's got some productivity hacks and things in there. And it was just, if you guys don't know Gary Keller, he created Keller Williams, which is the largest real estate brokerage in the country. I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of agents they have, but they make a shit pot full of money, and they've been around a long time. So he knows what the hell he's talking about. The last one that I have is the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. So if you guys have heard of Grant Cardone, he's a loudmouth, used to be old car salesman. Now he syndicates real estate deals. He always talks about 10X and double down on this and increase your income. Don't worry about cutting expenses. God knows how much money he makes. I mean, tens of millions. He rides around a Rolls Royce. Has a plane at 10X. His book 10X Rule, though, is another one of those books that makes you open your mind. He said one of his great, now like I said, this guy's, I don't know how much money he's making a year, but he's definitely worth a couple $100 million easy. He talks about one of his greatest regrets is shooting his goals too low. He didn't think big enough. And that's what he's talking about in the 10X Rule. It allows you to think bigger. There's so much more you're capable of than what you think. You have so much more potential. And that book definitely opened my mind. So that was a very long, I feel like a long introduction to those, 9 books, or 13 books. Guys, I hope that was helpful. John, I broke it down by real estate, personal finance, and in general. But those books, as of date, 2020, early 2020, those are the ones that have been most helpful to me. I think I'm going to make a blog post out of this. If I do, I'll link to it below. But it's definitely something that I will update as I see more books fit into that. So thank you for the question. If you guys comment, I'd love to hear if you guys have read any of those books and find them useful, or what books you have found useful. I would like to hear that as well. Maybe I'm missing some. I've got a long list still to read, several hundred books, but I would love to hear what books have changed your guys' lives, and maybe I'll put those in the front of the list. Thank you, guys. I'll see you next week.